Everyone in the AI agency space is making the same mistake, and it's killing their business before they even get started. They're all following the same playbook, learning the latest AI tools, building complex automations, and competing on technical features. But this means you're a sheep. If you're doing this, you're following whatever trend YouTube tells you, you're learning N8N, vector databases, RAG, but this is not what clients actually care about. After building and selling over $128,000 worth of AI infrastructure in the last 6 months and getting rejected on at least 100 sales calls, I started to understand that the technical implementation is not where it's at. Where it's at is building AI operating systems, AI infrastructure, focusing on outcomes. So after getting rejected 100 times, I'm realizing that we're not actually in the early adopter stage anymore. We're starting to hit that next stage where the market has heard all these different claims. They've heard and been burned by various different people and with various different promises. They've heard like, oh yeah, they've already tried the latest AI chat and it hasn't moved the needle. They've already tried the automation tools and they're collecting dust. They're already seeing the N8N workflows and it's not different from what they're already doing. As the market is evolving, people and companies don't buy tools anymore. They're buying outcomes. While everyone else is stuck in tutorial hell trying to become better technicians, the real opportunity is becoming what they actually need, what these companies actually need. A strategic partner who happens to use AI. And as marketers have known for centuries, using the desire principle, you can't create desire. You have to channel existing desire. And what you have to understand is that, your solution, you're trying to direct desire, not create it. So whereas, the existing desire isn't, I want AI, it's I want to grow revenue without headcount. I want to beat my competition. I want to transform how we operate and do recruiting. I want to be seen as an innovator. These desires existed before AI and they'll exist after AI. Your job isn't to make them want automation. Your job is to show them how strategic AI implementation achieves and will help them reach the goals that they already have and want. But here's where it gets interesting. This is where the trust principle comes in. So I want to dive in here and show you exactly what I mean by all this. Technical skills are killing your AI agency one day at a time. I call this the evolution path. So this is the evolution of what all people in the AI space go through. They start out being builders. They get really good at N8N. And then, maybe they land between $500 to, $5K projects. Then they are the builders and they have client relationships where they're building trust. And that's where they get these 8K to 12K LTV clients. Maybe it starts out as a, 2 to 3K project, but they keep doing more and more projects because they built trust. So now they're the builder, but they also have trust with the clients. And then they graduate to the builder and consultant, where not only are they building and not only do they have trust with their current client base and they've learned how to create that trust, it's a repeatable process. Now they're already becoming a consultant as well. And when you add on that consulting layer, this is where you get in the range of 15 to 25K LTV projects. And this doesn't mean upfront. I'm not saying you're going to cash collect, 25K upfront. What I'm saying is you're going to get a 3K project, you're going to build trust, then it's going to turn into another 5K project. You're going to keep building trust, and then it's going to turn into a monthly retainer that is like 5K a month, 8K a month to consult them and build it. And then over the lifetime value of that client, 4, 5, 6, 8 months, this is going to be worth $25,000, but it's not cash collected up front. And then you graduate to becoming a strategic partner, which is where the lifetime value is over 50K. So one of my clients, the lifetime value of my biggest client is, I think it's about 70K now. I've basically been working with them for a year, and I started out as, a contractor, and then I pitched doing AI building, and then I built trust, and now I'm consulting with them and running their entire marketing department using AI to the point where now I work probably 5 hours a week, and, I'm just racking in 6K a month, right? So this is a deadly combination. You don't want to just be a consultant because then you're not really adding tangible value. It's harder to prove the ROI. You're giving them advice and insights, but you can't charge premium prices because you're not actually delivering products and delivering services. Whereas if you're just a builder, you're just, in a race to the bottom with other builders, right? There's no really good recurring revenue on the system. But if you're a builder and a consultant, which is where you get that strategic partner role, and that's where you both deliver value and you get them results, but you're also giving strategic value so they can't just replace you with any other N8N person under the sun. And this is where the premium prices come in. This is where the long-term high LTV client relationship comes in. And so last month I got 2 new clients. Well, I got more than that. I got like 4 or 5 new clients, but I got 2 new clients in this kind of strategic partner level agreement. And I added 8K RR to my business. Now we're at 28K RR, and within the cash collected in the last 6 months, or the last 6 to 8 months, has been 128,765. And so this shit works. Like, I am testing this. I'm building out the roadmap. I'm testing out the roadmap with my own clients. This isn't just something that I, thought up in my basement. And so this is where the trust building comes in. You have to build trust. You have that initial call with them. Then you show them that you know what you're doing technically. You don't overwhelm them, but they see you as someone who can deliver, but not just a deliver. You're understanding their problems on a deep level. And as you understand their problems, you're starting to build them solutions. But while you're building them solutions and delivering them results, this is when you start, giving them strategic insights. When you have a deeper and deeper understanding of their business, so you can speak to their pain points. And you can present them with, different systems you think you could build for them, doing strategic planning, focusing on that transformation component. And when you, start by proving value, start by delivering tangible results as a builder, solving real problems, then as you go deeper into that client relationship, you share your insights of what you found, or you can even do this up front, what you found working with other people similar to them. You understand their business deeply, and you've done the work of offer creation and market positioning, and you position yourself in a way where you become that trusted advisor. You become that person that they look up to and they see as the expert. And as soon as that happens, it's game over, because not only are they perceiving your value independent of just what you can deliver for them, but they're seeing you as irreplaceable. You're not replaceable with another N8N builder, because not only are you building, you're also establishing that trust. You're establishing that they're seeing you as an expert, and that's when you can start pitching them strategic initiatives. And obviously, like, you're adding insane levels of value to the company, and you're like learning how the process of value creation. That's essentially what entrepreneurship is. It's value creation. And so the better you can understand the process of value creation, the more that you will get paid at the end of the day. You're architecting transformation. You're saying they are here, they want to get here. What are all the things that need to happen for them to get here to here? And how do I become the person that is the expert on that and seen as the expert? And this is how you lock in the long-term partnerships, where the lifetime value is, over 50K, oftentimes 100 plus K lifetime value, because maybe you have 5 to 10K a month for over a year. And so I want to go into some of the mistakes that people make. They, the biggest mistake is they just follow the herd, right? Oh, now it's N8N, now it's agents, now it's this, and they're just pricing based on what other people tell them to and all this stuff. It's the N8N complexity contest, like I like to call it. You're battling on features. You're not actually, if you're spending 99% of your time trying to understand N8N, that means you're spending 1% of your time understanding the actual business needs, when in reality it should be flipped. You should be spending 99% of your time understanding the business needs, how to create offers, market positioning, how to position yourself as someone that can solve those needs and that understands their pain points. And then you learn N8N, once you sell it, or maybe you just go on Upwork and hire someone that's in that race to the bottom. Whereas you are smart and you're strategic and you understand how to position yourself as an expert. And so you're not thinking in terms of what is this one project going to get me? Maybe the first project gets you $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, but you're adding so much strategic value that you're able to price based on value and the lifetime value of that relationship. You continue working with them on a long-term basis because they see that strategic value. And so the sheep mentality that you have is killing you. Like I said, this is what everyone's doing. They're in this race to the bottom. But the deeper you understand their problems, the better you are at consulting, building partnerships, at understanding their business, the more money you make. This is where all of the money is. And this is where all of the headaches and pain is, right? And so one of the things that I want to mention too is you might see this, you might be like, yeah, that's I don't know how to do that. It's kind of like soft skills and fuzzy stuff. You can learn this. There are repeatable roadmaps to learn this shit, to understand how to find the problems, how to speak to them. You can go and research how different people are speaking to those problems, what copy they're using, what phrases they're using. Building a partnership is a skill that you can learn. At the end of the day, everything is a skill acquisition problem. It's because you don't have sales skills, you don't have partnership building skills, you don't have consulting skills. These are the real money-making skills, not N8N. Anyone can learn N8N. You just plug in some nodes. Sure, it's a little bit technical, it's a little bit complex, but the real skill, where the real money is is understanding how to solve problems, how to become a consultant, how to build partnerships. And there are repeatable processes for these skills. These are the processes and the skills that I teach. Inside of AI Entrepreneur University, it's like business foundations, offer creation, market positioning, email psychology, sales conversions. These are the most important skills. And this is what I learned after getting rejected over 100 times on sales calls pitching AI systems. And so that brings us to our next point. You're giving them a revenue progression model. Not only are you delivering value, and not only are you building trust and becoming a consultant, but as you go through that process, you're increasing the revenue that they are, ideally you're adding them $280,000 worth of revenue, and you're taking 10%, which means 28K RR with enough different clients. Maybe, if you find the right client, that could be the amount that you're getting paid per one client. But ideally what you're doing is, you get 4 or 5 clients each, 5 to 10K a month. And when you're in this strategic relationship with them, this is where the real money is. And yes, sure, you do understand the tools and you have built automations, but eventually you just pay someone 2 to 5K to build it for you while you rack in 28K RR because you have become the consultant, the strategic partner. You've built that trust, right? So this is how I went from 0 to 128K. I started by focusing on delivery. I got some quick wins. I made 10 to 15K in different one-off projects. And then, month 4 to 6, I started becoming a consultant. I started figuring out what worked. I started delegating. I started getting larger LTV. And as I say this, I'm going to repeat it again and again. I'm not collecting 35K cash up front. I'm building 5K per month relationships over the course of 6 to 12 months. And, the churn rate on these strategic relationship clients, I have not had one single client churn. Sure, one of them will churn someday, but the LTV on the clients that I've already got is anywhere between 15K to 70K per client, right? So as I become the strategic partner, I've literally had people tell me like, I want you to be like the fractional, RevOps person or the fractional chief AI officer. But that doesn't happen until you can't pitch that up front. You can't say like, hey, new person that doesn't know me, can I be your like fractional AI officer? No, you're going to deliver value. You're going to plant the seeds. And then by month 7 to 12, that's when the true LTV and MRR starts happening. And so when you have both the technical skills, the business acumen, and you built trust, that's where the true premium pricing comes in. So this is what I call the builder consultant matrix, right? On the left-hand side here, we have, high consultancy skills or low consultancy skills. And on the right here, we have building skills. So the high, the least valuable is you don't really know how to build anything and you don't know how to, consult at all. You become a commodity. You become someone competing for Upwork projects, right? Then you have the really good builder, but the low consultancy, you become the technical expert. You never win on the technical expert scale. Then the trusted advisor, where you're really good at consulting, but you're not very good at building. Now, this doesn't mean that like you want to get to this position where you're a strategic partner, but that doesn't mean you have to be the most technical expert. You just have to understand it well enough to build out some, basic projects. And then as you get better and better, you hire people that are these like badass technical experts. So, but because you understand the platforms enough, you can delegate it really effectively because you're like, yeah, like now what I do is, I got a new project recently. We're building out like vibe marketing, AI systems. And I basically hired someone. I'm like, hey, we should do an AI agent with RAG here, use Pinecone. Here's the prompt I think we should use, with Claude. I think this is what the, structure of the workflow should be. But then they actually go and build it out. And I am the one that is spearheading the strategic partnership with this client, right? And so at the end of the day, this is why I'm charging 5K a month, where I'm working, 2 hours a week for this client. And it's a long-term contract. The deal size is really high. And they basically said, like, we want to work with you for like years. Like, this is not a short-term thing, And so I started out as the advisor, became the strategic partner, and I tried to not position myself at all as a technical expert or a commodity provider. I say, yes, I am a technical expert, but that I don't lead with that. I say like, I am your consultant. I understand the AI space. Sure, yeah, we're going to build out some features and some projects for you to reach your goals and your outcomes, but that's not where the true value add is. And so let's think about this in terms of client acquisition. Once you deliver quick wins, that's when you build trust, you get deeper access, you understand their business, you understand what they're core pain points and goals are, and then only then do you become the strategic partner. So you start out with building and delivering quick wins, and then you grow into the strategic partner. But the thing here is that you have to have that in mind. Like, you have to set the intention that you will become a strategic partner. It has to be like an intentional strategic thing that you build and you grow into that role, as opposed to, just being the builder forever, right? And so as you land these quick win projects, then you start learning how to build trust, to gain strategic access to them. You slowly give them strategic little seeds of insight. You become their partner. And then as you get these case studies, it only becomes easier and easier to attract other businesses on a strategic partnership basis. And so this is what it looks like. Rather than, a 5K project, it turns into 12K a month. Rather than a 3K project, over time, it turns into 8K a month. It turns into these high MRR client relationships over time. You don't position yourself as, I build AI automations. This is how I position myself and why I got rejected. I build AI marketing automations. I build AI sales automations. No one cared. I deliver business outcomes using AI. That's a little bit better. I'm your fractional AI officer, and I deeply understand the AI space and the trends, and I will make sure that you implement the most cutting edge, most effective AI systems that will help you get to where you want to go. I'm not going to show you the tools. I'm going to give you the solutions. I'm going to give you the strategy, and I'm going to take you through that transformation. And then that's why you will see my thing as valuable. That's why there's trust here, because ultimately, at the end of the day, if you feel like I'm a credible source, I'm reliable, I show up on time, I know what your business is in and out, and I'm focused on you. That's one of the big things. You're focused on them. You're not like, oh, I can do all these cool things. Look at me, look at me, look at me. No, you're saying like, I understand your business. Here's what I'm seeing. I think we should focus on this. Here's why. Here's why I understand your business. I looked at all of these 10 different things within your business last night. I noticed these 3 things, and I was thinking about, how do we actually help you grow? And I've been showing up week after week for you. And, I've done it for a bunch of other people. That's why I have credibility. The more trust you can build, the better you can price a thing, because ultimately trust is where you win. The more trust that you have with a company, the more they're going to see you as the linchpin of their organization. If you establish yourself as an AI expert, that's when you're seen as the AI expert in their eyes, that's when you become the linchpin of their organization, and when your career becomes truly anti-fragile, as Nassim Taleb calls it. You're very resilient. No matter what happens in the AI space, you have that strategic brain that can go into a company and help them strategize about the best way to use AI, and that's why you become indispensable. And so I hope this was valuable to you. This is exactly what has been built out and what we're refining inside of the community. We have weekly calls talking about this. We have people building this stuff. And, at the end of the day, it's all about understanding, these frameworks, these success roadmaps. You understand how to position yourself differently. And once you understand, we have a prompt for to identify each one of these things: your market, the pain points of that market, the outcomes, the obstacles that they face, how to frame your solution in terms of those obstacles, and to generate a bunch of solutions, how to, stack that into a way that's hyper valuable and create a super, super valuable offer where the value that you bring is not tied to, your ability to implement. It's tied to your ability to help them reach the outcome that they want to reach. So that's ultimately what's in here and what the transformation is within this community. And then here's how then we teach you how to set up, send tens of thousands of emails per month in a way that actually gets responses, so that you can take your offer, package it into an email campaign, and start booking sales calls within 30 days, in 30 to 60 days. And so I hope you found this valuable. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched till the end, I really appreciate you. It means a lot to me, and I will see you in the next video.